before their eyes and faces. While your body has not sinned, you must not let sin creep into your heart, and violate great nature's law with your unlawful rovings. If you have the right to long for his endearment, it could not be possible. He is a virtuous man, and is regardful of the moral law. Oh, how I wish my passion could be his!" And so she argued and declared her love. But Cinyras, her father, who was urged by such a throng of suitors for her hand that he could make no choice, at last inquired of her, so she might make her heart's wish known, and as he named them over, asked her, when she fixed her gaze upon her father's face in doubt or agony what she could say, while hot tears filled her eyes. Her father, sure it all was of a virginal alarm, as he is telling her she need not weep, dries her wet cheeks and kisses her sweet lips. Too much delighted with his gentle words and kind endearments, Myrrha, when he asked again which one might be her husband, said, "The one just like yourself." And he replied, not understanding what her heart would say, "You answer as a loving daughter should." When she heard loving daughter said, the girl, too conscious of her guilt, looked on the ground. It was now midnight. Peaceful sleep dissolved the world care of all mortals, but of her, who, sleepless through the night, burned in the flame of her misplaced affection. First despair compels her to abandon every hope, and then she changes and resolves to try. And so she wavers from desire to shame, for she could not adhere to any plan. As a great tree cut by the swinging axe is chopped until the last blow has been struck, then sways and threatens danger to all sides, so does her weak mind, cut with many blows, waver unsteadily, this way and that, and turning back and forth, it finds no rest from passion, save the rest that lies in death. The thought of death gave comfort to her heart. Resolved to hang herself, she set upright. Then, as she tied her girdle to a beam, she said, "Farewell, beloved Cinyras, and may you know the cause of my sad death." And while she spoke those words, her fingers fixed the noosed rope close around her death-pale neck. They say the murmur of despairing words was heard by her attentive nurse, who watched outside the room, and, faithful as of old, she opened the shut door. But when she saw the frightful preparations made for death, the old nurse screamed and beat and tore her breast, then seized and snatched the robe from Myrrha's neck, and after she had torn the noose apart, at last she had the time to weep, and time, while she embraced the girl, to ask her why the halter had been fastened round her neck. The girl, in stubborn silence, only fixed her eyes upon the ground, sad that the first attempt at death, because too slow, was foiled. The old nurse-woman urged, and showed her grey hair and her withered breasts, and begged her, by the memory of her cradle days and baby nourishment, to hide no more from her long-trusted nurse what caused her grief. The girl turned from her questions with a sigh. The nurse, still more determined to know all, promised fidelity and her best aid. "Tell me," she said, "and let me give you help. My old age offers means for your relief. If it be frantic passion, I have charms and healing herbs. Or if an evil spell was worked on you by someone, you shall be cured to your perfect self by magic rites. Or if your actions have enraged the gods, a sacrifice will satisfy their wrath. What else could be the cause? Your family and you are prosperous. Your mother dear and your loved father are alive and well." And when she heard her say the name of father, a sigh heaved up from her distracted heart. But even after that, the nurse could not conceive such evil in the girl's sick heart, and yet she had a feeling it must be only a love affair could cause a crime, and with persistent purpose backed the cause. She pressed the weeping girl against her breast, and as she held her in her feeble arms, she said, "Sweetheart, I know you are in love. In this affair I am entirely yours for your good service. You must have no fear. Your father cannot learn of it from me." Just like a mad girl, Mira sprang away, and with her face deep buried in a couch, sobbed out, "Go from me, or stop asking me my cause of grief. It is a crime of shame. I cannot tell it." Horrified, the nurse stretched forth her trembling hands, palsied with age and fear. She fell down at the feet of her loved foster-child, and coaxing her and frightening her, she threatened to disclose her knowledge of the halter, and of what she knew of her attempted suicide. And after all was said, she gave her word to help the girl when she had given to her a true confession of her sad heart love. The girl just lifted up her face and laid it, weeping, on the bosom of her nurse. She had tried so often to confess, and just as often checked her words, her shamed face hid deep in her garment. "Oh," at last she groaned, "oh, mother, bless in your husband, oh." Only that much she said and groaned. The nurse felt a cold horror stealing through her heart and frame, for she now understood it all, and her white hair stood bristling on her head, while with the utmost care of love and art she strove to use appropriate words and deeds to banish the mad passion of the girl. Though Mira knew that she was truly warned, she was resolved to die, unless she could obtain the object of her wicked love. The nurse gave way at last in defeat, and said, "Live and enjoy," but did not dare to say, "your father," did not finish, though she promised and confirmed it with an oath. It was a time when matrons celebrate the annual festival of Ceres. Then, all robed in decent garments of snow white, they bring garlands of freshest wheat, which are first fruits of worship, and for 9 nights they must count for bitter every act of love, and shun the touch of man. And in that throng, Cancres, the king's wife, with constant care attended every sacred rite. And so, while the king's bed was lacking his true wife, one of those nights King Cinyras was drunk with too much wine. The scheming nurse informed him of a girl most beautiful, whose love for him was passionate. In a false tale she pictured a true passion. When he asked the maiden's age, she answered, just the same as Mira's. Bidden by the king to go and fetch her, the officious old nurse, when she found the girl, cried out, "Rejoice, my dear, we have contrived it." The unhappy girl could not feel genuine joy in her amazed and startled body. Her dazed mind was filled with her strange forebodings, but she did believe her heart was joyful. Great excitement filled her wrecked heart with such inconsistencies. Now was a time when nature is addressed. Between the bears, Boots turned his way down to the west, and the guilty Mira turns to her enormity. The golden moon flies from the heaven, and black clouds cover the hiding stars, and night has lost her fires. The first to hide were stars of Icarus and of Arigone, and hallowed love devoted to her father. Mira thrice was warned by omen of her stumbling foot. The funeral screech owl also warned her thrice, with dismal cry. Yet Mira onward goes. It seems to her the black night lessens shame. She holds fast to her nurse with her left hand, and with the other hand gropes through the dark. And now they go until she finds the door. Now at the threshold of her father's room, she softly pushes back the door. Her nurse takes her within. The girl's knees trembling sink beneath her. Her drawn, bloodless face had lost its colour, and while she moves to the crime, bad courage goes from her, until, afraid of her bold effort, she would gladly turn unrecognized. But as she hesitates, the aged crone still holds her by the hand, and leading her up to the high bed, there delivering Mira, says, "Now, Cinyras, you take her, she is yours," and leaves the pair doomed in their crime. The father